Welcome to Biology My Passion. I am Soumya Harikrishna. Today we will discuss a few previous year's board questions from the chapter Evolution. So the first question is, wings of birds and wings of butterflies contribute to locomotion. Explain the type of evolution such organs are result of. Know that if two organs are doing the same function but they do not originate from the common ancestor or they do not have a similar structure, then we consider them as analogous organs. So they are not anatomically similar in structure but perform same function, hence these are analogous structures. So here 2 points are there, one is analogous structure and anatomically not similar. Then type of evolution, here we know that analogous organs are result of convergent evolution. So always remember HSS you can correlate higher secondary school. What is higher secondary school? Homologous, same structure. Like that, if you remember, the other one will automatically come. So homologous organs have the same structure, so they have different function. The same way analogous means what? Same function but different structure. Homologous organs are result of divergent evolution. Analogous structures are the result of convergent evolution. Now the second part of this question is, explain the type of evolution such organs are as result of, that is convergent evolution. Another explanation given here is, similar habitat of birds and butterflies has resulted in selection of similar adaptive features, that is wings, in different groups of organisms but towards the same function. So here in this answer exactly that analogous word is not coming, but still the explanation is correct and convergent evolution is the second part. So that answer can also be considered. So the next question is, identify any two marsupials from the list given below. You know that marsupials are the pouched mammals. Then lemur, spotted cuscus, flying phalanger, bobcat, Tasmanian wolf and a mole. Which are the marsupials from this? That is, spotted cuscus is a marsupial, flying phalanger and a Tasmanian wolf. Then Australian marsupials exhibit adaptive radiation. Justify this statement. Australian marsupials each differ from the other, evolved from an ancestral stock. They had a common ancestry and they all originated within the Australian island. So for that you will get half plus half 1 mark. Taking an example of homologous organs in plants, write the types of evolution they are based on, giving a reason. We spoke about homologous organs, same structure but different function. The plants, the typical example is thorns of bougainvillea and tendrils of cucurbita. These two are homologous organs. Why? Because they have same structure, means they both are modifications of the stem or they have common ancestry but they do different functions. That means thorn and tendrils both are stem modifications from these plants, where thorns are meant for defense whereas tendrils are for climbing the support. So their structure is the same but functions are different, and since it is homologous organs, it is example of divergent evolution. How is the study of fossils and evidence of evolution of life forms which have taken place on the earth explained, giving 2 reasons. We know studying fossils is the best way of getting idea about the fossils, and the study of fossils is called a paleontology. So paleontological evidences are one of the significant evidences in evolution. So a study of fossil in different sedimentary layers indicate that different types of organisms existed in different geological periods. So we will get an idea about the organism existed in the same geological period. The life forms varied over time and certain life forms are restricted to certain geological time span because we may not find them in a different geological span. So these are the importance of paleontology. How is the mechanism of evolution explained by De Vries? You know that post-Darwinian theories came from De Vries based on his work on mutation. So large difference arising suddenly in a population, that is single step large mutation, he called it as the saltation. And they are random and directionless. So this can come as a different question. Differentiate between Darwin's theory of evolution and De Vries' theories of evolution. So these are the differences. According to Darwin, natural selection is the driving force for evolution, whereas for De Vries it is mutation. Second, we can say that it is a very directional process Whereas in the case of De Vries, it is random and directionless. Mutation can happen in any way. One more difference, we can say that natural selection is a slow process, but here since it is a single step large mutation like saltation can make a species, it is a fast process. This is a very important question in evolution. Study the diagrammatic representation of S. L. Miller's experiment given below and answer the questions that follow. You have to be familiar with this diagram. This is actually the experimental proof of chemical evolution proposed by Oparin and Haldane. From the boiling water, the water vapor goes through this tube and reaches this glass part, and here two electrodes are kept for providing a high electric voltage similar to the thunder and lightning which existed at that time. Inside there several gases were also kept. These gases were used to exist in the past. Then warm water is coming out after condensation. Then water is coming as droplets, and the condensed water getting here is finally checked for the presence of certain organic substances. Now let us see the questions. How did S. L. Miller create the conditions which existed before the origin of any life on Earth? Conditions existed before the origin of life, that is high temperature, volcanic storms, reducing atmosphere containing methane, ammonia, etc. Reducing means in the absence of oxygen. Conditions were created by electric discharge, that is high temperature, in a closed flask containing the gases. Which are the gases? Ammonia, methane, hydrogen and water vapor. Please make a note of these four. These four gases were present inside the flask. Which are they? Methane, ammonia, hydrogen and water vapor. Then name the organic compound formed and collected at the end of this experiment, amino acids, and mention the kind of evolution his experiment supports, chemical evolution. Who proposed chemical evolution? Oparin and Haldane. So here is another question related to homologous and analogous organs. This is a 3-mark question. So analogous organs are a result of convergent evolution, whereas homologous organs are a result of divergent evolution. Justify with the help of a suitable example for each. See, we already learned analogous is a convergent. Convergent means what? From different points, everything will converge to one point. What is a divergent? From one point, they diverge out. So, although wings of butterfly and birds look alike, they are not anatomically similar but perform similar functions. Such organs are called analogous, are result of convergent evolution. See, here we know that wing of butterfly is a membrane, whereas the bird's wing is made up of feathers, right? So anatomically there is no similarity, but both of them are using it for the common function called a flight. So here we suppose write bird, here it is a butterfly, or a bat. Bat also has got a stretch of membrane as their, or skin as their wing, but all are converging it to use as the single function, that is flight. So it is converging to a single point. So it is convergent evolution. Different structures evolving for the same function. That is also the answer, except other similar examples like sweet potato and potato, because in plants there are examples like a sweet potato and potato, which are the examples of analogous organs. Sweet potato is a root modification, whereas potato is a stem modification. So both these are different structures anatomically. One is root, one is stem, but what is common? They both are meant for storage purpose. Eyes of octopus and mammals also, they are anatomically different, but the function is to view things, and flippers of penguins and dolphins. For the detailed explanation of all these, you can visit Biology My Passion Evolution chapter. Bones of forelimbs in whales, bats, cheetah, humans have similar pattern. They are all structurally similar, especially the forearm. Then anatomical structure to perform different functions. We know that if it is in the case of whales, they use it for swimming, bats use it for flying, cheetah is using it for running, humans using it for holding thing or doing work. So these are all doing different functions, but they all originated from the same structure, or they are similar in structure. So this kind of organs are called homologous organs. Perform different functions due to different habitat and needs. So they show divergent evolution, because everything same structure but doing different functions, right? Running, jumping, hopping, or anything like that. So these are divergent evolution. Other examples are also considered, like a vertebrate heart. They are also anatomically they are same, actually structurally and functionally they are same. Vertebrate brains, then thorns of bougainvillea and tendril of cucurbita we already discussed. because they are stem modifications basically, but doing different functions. Explain convergent evolution with the help of two examples, one from plants and the other from animals. Again, the same concept is coming. We know the examples. Convergent evolution means what? Analogous organs, different structures evolving from the same function. From plants, it is sweet potato and potato, root and stem modifications performing same function of storage. Whereas in animals, eyes of octopus and mammals, or flippers of penguin and dolphin, any example. So what you have to do is, while learning, you write two columns, examples of analogous and homologous organs separately, what is plant, what is animal, clearly by hearted, so there should not be any confusion even if it comes in the form of an MCQ or assertion reasoning question or a 2-mark question like that. Another most important concept from this chapter is Hardy-Weinberg principle. Hardy-Weinberg principle is stated in the following algebraic equation: p square plus 2pq plus q square is equal to 1. State what do P and Q denote in this equation. So we know P represents the dominant allele or frequency of allele capital A. Capital A is a dominant, whereas small q represents the recessive allele or frequency of that allele, that is small a. Then state Hardy-Weinberg principle as indicated in the equation. Allelic frequencies in a population are stable and is constant from generation to generation. Okay, so sum total of all, suppose if you take a sexually reproducing population, the sum total of all the allelic frequency, that means what all alleles of genes are present in that, will be constant in that gene pool, and that is called a Hardy-Weinberg principle. And if there is any change is noted from that value 1, constant is means 1 it is, and if there is any variation means what? Definitely evolution is happening. What would you interpret if the value of 1 in the equation gets deviated? Evolutionary change is happening. Here you can see the same concept asked in a different ways. See, again the same concept but coming in a third format. That is, mention and explain the type of evolution the thorns of bougainvillea and tendrils of cucurbita are result of. And write similar example from animal kingdom. So we already discussed this. It is divergent evolution because they have same structure and different functions. And from animal world, what are the examples? Vertebrate heart, vertebrate brain, forelimbs of man, cheetah, whale, bat, etc. State what does the study of fossils indicate. So this is also repeatedly asked a question. They are evidence of evolution, means fossils are the evidence of evolution. They indicate common ancestry or they represent extinct organisms which existed in different geological period. Life forms varied over time and certain life forms were restricted to certain geological time spans. New forms of life have arisen at different times in the history of Earth. So all these points, please familiarize with these terminologies along with me, and then you will use it in examination for different answers. Then rearrange the following group of plants according to their evolution from Paleozoic to Cenozoic period. So there is a table given in your textbook with the plant evolution and another one with animal evolution. So here they have given Rhynia, arborescent lycopods, conifers and dicots. You know that Rhynia coming under pteridophytes will be even primitive than another advanced pteridophyte, that arborescent lycopods. Then comes the gymnosperms. Conifers are gymnosperms. Then only angiosperm, that is dicot. So in the order Rhynia, arborescent lycopods, conifers and dicot. If a student writes given sequences correct, then only you will get 1 mark. Similar to Hardy-Weinberg principle, another important concept of this chapter is adaptive radiation, explained with the help of suitable example. The process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point and literally radiating to other areas of geography or habitats, is called adaptive radiation. That means there is an origin point. From there they go to different geographical habitat around based on their adaptations, or they go there and they get adapted to that condition. So please by heart the definition of adaptive radiation and Hardy-Weinberg principle very well. For example, small black bird called Darwin's finches in Galapagos Island, because Darwin did his expedition in Galapagos Island. From the original seed-eating features, so original ones were seen in the main island, they were seed-eating habit, but they diverged into many other forms with altered beaks arose, enabling them to become insectivorous and vegetarian finches. So when he went to other islands also, he could find the same birds there, but their food habit was entirely different. from the original seed eating nature, they moved to different places where they adapted themselves to eat different kinds of foods like insects, or they got adapted to eat vegetarian parts like fruits, nuts, etc. Whenever we talk about adaptive radiation, there are two examples that we have to study. One is the Darwin's finches, which got adapted to eat different kinds of foods. Second is the Australian marsupials, each different from each other, evolved from an ancestral stock, but all within the Australian island continent. So this is a diagram from your textbook. So there is a marsupial radiation happening here. That is a common ancestor used to be there. From there, different marsupials like Tasmanian wolf, sugar glider, marsupial mole, koala, banded anteater, tiger cat, kangaroo and wombat originated. Placental mammals in Australia also exhibit adaptive radiation in evolving into varieties of placental mammals, each of which appears to be similar to corresponding marsupials. That is placental wolf and Tasmanian wolf marsupial, they are corresponding. So placental wolf corresponding to Tasmanian wolf marsupial. So that they also showed some adaptive radiation. So it is a kind of parallel evolution. Rearrange the following in the correct order of their appearance on Earth between 2 million years and 40,000 years back. So here also regarding human evolution, you have to make a chart showing the species evolved, that is starting from Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus. Ramapithecus were more man-like. So Ramapithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthal and Homo sapiens. So in that order, and their characteristics and the time they existed you have to study. So here they have given Neanderthals, Australopithecines, Homo erectus, Homo habilis. So here we know that out of this Australopithecines were the most primitive one, followed by that who came the Homo habilis, followed by Homo habilis, Homo erectus, then came Neanderthal. So which one of the above had the largest brain size? Of course, Neanderthal men used to be very intelligent, and the 8 fruits was Australopithecines, because primitive ones would have eaten the vegetarian food. When they came in evolution progress, actually what happened, their food habit changed to non-vegetarian food as well. Now, how did Darwin explain adaptive radiation? Support your answer with the help of an example. So here we cannot write the Australian marsupials as an example. We have to restrict our example to only Darwin's finches. Darwin observed that there were many varieties of finches in the small island Galapagos. Initially, they had seed-eating fruits features. Gradually, as they migrated to different habitats, other features with altered beak arose, enabling them to become insectivorous and vegetarian finches. This process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point of and radiating to other geographical areas. So when they are changing their seed eating habit to different adaptations in beak, they are becoming different species, but they all radiated from a single point. So this is called adaptive radiation. Another most important concept from this chapter is that a natural selection example, that is a pepper moth. That is, describe the observations made on collection of white-winged moths and dark-winged moths in England between the years 1850 and 1920. That is the period of industrialization in England. What did these observations lead to? Actually, this is comparatively easy questions for children. It's like a story we can write. Before industrialization, tree bark were covered with a light-colored lichens. In this background, white-winged moth survived, but dark-colored moth was picked out by predators. Post-industrialization means after 1920, when the industrialization happened in England, tree trunks became dark due to industrial smoke and soot. Under this condition, the white-winged moth did not survive due to predators, and also lichens disappeared because lichens are very sensitive to air pollution. They are indicators of air pollution. They are found only in places where there is no pollution. So as a result, the tree trunks are now dark in color. So dark-winged moths are not seen by the predators, but white-winged ones are picked by the predators. This showed that organisms that are better adapted to survive are selected by nature or natural selection. So here the selection of black over white was done by the nature. So this is a classical example of natural selection. How is the use of herbicides, pesticides and antibiotics by humans for various purposes comparable with the observations made on moths in the above question? What is this type of phenomenon called? In the case of these moths, who made the selection? Nature made the selection. Excessive use of these chemicals has resulted in selection of resistant varieties in much lesser time. So actually these are because of anthropogenic action. So here the resistant varieties are overcoming the non-resistant varieties in a very short span of time. So that's the main difference between these two. But in the second one, the first one was actually a slow process where nature was selecting, but because of anthropogenic action, we are making resistant varieties over a period of time, but in a short span of time. Again, we are coming back to Hardy-Weinberg principle only, but it's based on the equation p square plus 2 pq plus q square is equal to 1. How can we explain that? We already learned that the p and q represent the allelic frequency of dominant allele capital A and recessive allele small a respectively. In a population of diploid organisms, if frequency of allele capital A is P and frequency of allele small a is Q, expected genotype frequency under random mating are A will become P square, small a will become Q square, capital A small a will become 2PQ. So the gene pool or the total genes and their alleles in a population remains constant, that is genetic equilibrium, and sum total of allelic frequencies is 1. You know that in the F2 generation, what is the genotypic ratio we are getting? 1 capital A is to 2 capital A is to 1 small a. So here this will become P and P, so P square. What this will become P into Q, and that is 2PQ, and this is Q into Q square. So this is how we are obtaining that ratio. Now, how do gene migration and genetic drift affect this genetic equilibrium? There are different factors affecting gene equilibrium. That is, one is the genetic drift, then gene migration and mutation, speciation, all these. So when gene migration of a section of population to another place occurs, gene migration means what? Some members of a population is moving out of that population and they go to another population and sexually reproduce with the members existing in that population, which will result in the migration of certain genes from one population to another. So when gene migration of a selection of population to another place occurs, gene frequencies change in the original as well as the new population and disturbs the equilibrium. So their evolution happens. Second is genetic drift. Genetic drift means changes in gene frequency as in gene migration occurring by chance. For example, in class 10 there is a beautiful example given, but deleted portion for you. There was a population of red beetle on a bush and the predators used to eat them very easily because red is visible over green. Some DNA change led to formation of certain green beetles, but green beetles are not seen by the predators. So as a result, green beetles were not chosen by the predators in the first place. So the red got eaten away quickly and the entire population turned into green. So this is an example of natural selection where green being better or advantageous was selected over red. Okay, it is due to some advantage it was selected. Whereas there is a second scenario, the same red population, but some of them turned into blue due to some mutation. But here, for a predator, red or blue doesn't make any difference because green gave some camouflage effect, but here that is not happening. So for a crow, it can pick randomly blue or red. So, but unfortunately, due to some accident, for example, one elephant came that way, it stamped on the part of the bush where red ones were there and killed all red ones, and as a result of that the entire population turned blue. No red ones are now surviving, only the blue ones are left in the population. Here blue was selected over red, but not by nature but by mere accident. Blue has no advantage, but still it got selected due to only random accident. Such process is called a genetic drift. Please learn factors affecting Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium very clearly, and 5 factors are there. Now again, Urey-Miller experiment, but here one more part is added. State the hypothesis proposed by Oparin and Haldane. As I mentioned earlier, Urey-Miller experiment is an experimental evidence for a chemical evolution proposed by Oparin and Haldane. So propose that first form of life could have come from pre-existing non-living organic molecules, and that formation of life was preceded by chemical evolution. So initially only one time abiogenesis happened, means from non-living things the life originated. Life means a biomolecule must have formed. Then thereafter biogenesis, that is existing one gave rise to the further ones. Chemical evolution or formation of diverse organic molecules from inorganic constituents. That was Oparin and Haldane's proposal. And Miller's experiment we already discussed. You have to learn how to write the answer. Here the most important points are what are the gases present in the chamber: methane, ammonia, hydrogen and water vapor. Second, how did they simulate the effect of lightning? That was by using high voltage electrode. And what was the temperature? 800 degrees Celsius. And which was the first molecule formed? Amino acid. This is the third question from Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So state what is disturbance in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium indicative of. We already answered that the disturbance in the constant or allelic frequency shows that evolution has occurred. Write 4 factors that affect Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium and how. The first reason is gene migration or gene flow. That is, when migration of a section of population to another place occurs, then gene frequencies change in the original population as well as in the new population, and it is a gene flow if this gene migration happens multiple times. Then next is genetic drift. As I mentioned now, if there is a change in gene frequencies occurs by chance. There is no advantage but just by chance. Next is mutation. Of course, mutation can lead to evolution, that is alteration of gene sequences, mutation. Then genetic recombination. This new combination is happening like non-parental gene combination, variation in genes due to recombination during gametogenesis. Then natural selection is the next driving force, that is a process in which heritable variations enabling better survival are enabled to reproduce and leave greater number of progeny. Explain with the help of one suitable example that evolution is a random process based on chance events in nature and chance mutation in the organisms. Post-industrialization period, the tree trunks became dark due to industrial smoke and soot, and under this condition, white-winged moth did not survive due to predators. Dark-winged moths or melanized moths survived. Before industrialization, thick growth of almost white-colored lichen covered the trees, and in that background, the white-winged moth survived, but the dark-colored moth were picked out by the predators. So this is the explanation that we are giving related to the peppered moth. An alternative answer could be excess use of herbicides or pesticides has only resulted in selection of resistant varieties in a much lesser time scale of months or years and not centuries. Microbes against which we employ antibiotics or drugs against eukaryotic organisms or cell are so resistant organisms or cells are appearing in a time scale of months or years and not centuries. That is again example of anthropogenic action. Evolution is not a direct process in the sense of determinism. It is a stochastic process that is based on chance events in nature and chance mutation in organisms. This is actually the De Vries theory of evolution. Hope you understood these important concepts in this chapter like Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, the natural selection theory, homologous analogous organs, factors affecting Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, and evidences of evolution, human evolution, and Urey-Miller experiment to support chemical evolution by Oparin and Haldane, and Galapagos Islands we found adaptive radiation. Its examples: Darwin's finches, Australian marsupials, and Australian marsupials had a parallel evolution with the placental mammals in Australia. So all these points are very important. Hope you understood all these concepts very well. Please prepare well for your exam. Thank you for watching Biology My Passion.